Video I'm going to show you how to measure cells using NimbusImage. We're going to start by segmenting the cells by their cytoplasm. We're going to then segment the nuclei, measure the area of both the cells and the nuclei, and export that data from NimbusImage. So here I am in my Nimbus portal, and you can see I have a number of neuroblastoma cells, and their cytoplasms are labeled here in the green channel. I can toggle that on and off. And their nuclei are labeled here in this blue channel, which I can also toggle on and off. So I'm going to start by segmenting the cells. So I'm going to go to Add New Tool, navigate over here to Cell Pose SAM, and I'm going to put the cells in the green layer. This doesn't have so much to do with the segmentation as much as it does where the objects appear after they're made. And I'm going to name all these objects cells, because that's what they are, and I'm just going to select Add Tool to Toolset. To engage the tool, I just navigate over here, select it, and now I have a menu to set up Cell Pose SAM. So the model here is Cell Pose SAM, and I'm going to select for channel 1, which is the cytoplasm or membrane stain, I'm going to select the green channel, because that's where my cytoplasm stain is. And for the second channel, I'm going to select the blue channel where the DAPI stain is. The next term I have to set is the average diameter of the objects. So these are much bigger than 10 pixels. So I should change it from 10 pixels, and it looks like they're about 100 pixels on average. And this is pretty robust to variation, so that should work out just fine. The last term I'm going to modify here is this tile overlap. And right now it's set to 10%, which is only going to give me a range of about 100 pixels for the overlap, which is about as big as I expect my cells to be. That, if I leave it right here, I'll get weird truncated cells and weird line artifacts. So what I want to do is adjust this fraction to be large enough that my largest cell can fit comfortably within that fraction. So I'm going to adjust it here generously to 30%. So now I have about a window of about 300 pixels to play with, which is much larger than my average diameter of 100 pixels. So with that, I'm going to hit compute. Great. So now you can see that ran in about 45 seconds. I skipped ahead a bit, and you can see I have a large number of cells. I'm going to go to settings and toggle the annotation opacity down a little bit so you're able to see better. You can see I did a pretty good job labeling even these kind of funky looking shapes. There are some errors here, so you can see the cell is double labeled. That's not an issue. We can select it by clicking on it, navigating to my object list, and I can see exactly where it is in the annotation list. I can select there and hit delete selected, and I've now removed that error. So the next thing I want to do now that I have my cell segmented is segment the nuclei. I'm going to go to Add New Tool, Cell Pose SAM again, and now I'm going to leave the layer set to blue. Again, this doesn't affect segmentation, it's just where the objects appear, and I'm going to call these objects nucleus, and Add Tool to Toolset, select the new worker from the menu. Now, to set up Cell Pose SAM for nuclei, I'm just going to use the first channel, and I'm just going to set it to blue, because that's where my DAPI stain is. And these nuclei do look like they're about 10 or so pixels in diameter, so we're just going to leave all the settings and hit compute. Great, so I jumped ahead again about 20 seconds, and our worker ran, so now we have all these cells and nuclear metrics. So I want to go ahead and measure the nuclear area and the cell area. I'm going to go to measure objects, and because both cells and nuclei are polygons or Nimbus blob objects, I can measure area for both of them at once by selecting blob, and then I pick the algorithm I want to run by scrolling down this menu. So you can see here blob metrics computes area, as well as some other things like perimeter and circularity. So I'm going to select that. By default, the measurements that blob metrics computes for area and perimeter are in pixels, but pixels aren't particularly biologically informative, so we can go ahead here and check this check mark And now it'll convert all the measurements to microns. So area will be in microns squared, which is a lot more useful to us. So I'll hit create property and it'll run. And this runs fairly quickly. So you can see already all the analysis has been done, and I can go ahead here and click under the properties bar. I can select area, and I can scroll down, and now I can see the areas for all my cells. And I'll simplify this menu by clicking off some of these features in the annotation list, so I'm just seeing tags and area. So now for any given cell, I can click it on the list, and you can see the area and its position in space. I can also do the same thing for nuclei and look at where different, the size of different nuclei. And you'll notice the values for the nuclei are in general smaller than the values for the cells, which is what we would expect because the cells are larger than our nuclei. So we don't want our data to just stay on Nimbus forever. We'd like to, in theory, export it and analyze it. So to do that, we go to Actions, hit Export CSV, and now this will return a CSV with all these metrics. And that's a little bit overkill for us today because we just want area. So to restrict the measurements to just area, I'm going to select Properties to Export. I'm going to scroll down the menu of all the options, select area, and then hit Download. And this is what the final data object looks like. So I have the indices for each one of my polygons or my blobs. I have some channel info and position, some tile information that we'll talk about a little bit later. Tag information, so I know if something's a cell or a nucleus. And then I have the area in microns squared for all these cells and all these nuclei. So if you'd like to analyze this data set, you can access all this data. It's publicly available via Cell Image Library via this link. Or you could use this QR code to start analyzing your own data in NimbusImage.